Okay, thank you for making the shiur possible. Tonight's shiur is on a maimer from the Rebbe from the year 1962. Shabbos Parshas Achrei. On Yud Aleph Nisan, the Kahos books that were published, every book has a Pesach Dover with a date. And usually the Rebbe would connect it with a special day. You know, this book was given out on this date, on that date. So right here we have a sefer. And right, when was this given out? Erev Chof Mar Chesed. Okay, so Yud Aleph, in honor of Yud Aleph Nisan of Tafshin Chav Beis, a kuntris was published with Mamorim of the Rebbe. With Mamorim of the Rebbe Rashab, the Hemshech of Acharei Mem Tes. This is the old version of what the Mamorim of the Rebbe Rashab looked like. Today, the newer version, they make them with brown. And it's not only the cover that's changed, but also inside they added footnotes, more footnotes than these. And
I don't think I saw the newer ones.
Yeah, like what we have here, the Ayin Beis is a newer version. So the Rebbe
of the Ayin Beis style, it's bigger.
Yeah, the Rebbe Rashab, whatever. The size, there are two sizes. The Rebbe Rashab became Rebbe in Tov Reish Mem Gimel 1883. And Tov Reish Mem Tes, just a couple of years later, at the age of 26 or 27, he spoke a Hemshech.
10 years he doesn't want to become Rebbe.
Right, but this is during the 10 years. So if we look at Tov Reish Mem Tes, the first maimer of Tov Reish Mem Tes begins Achrei. It's not Bereshis, it's not Yom Tov Shel Reish Hashanah. It's after Pesach. And in other words, it's after Pesach, and you see there's a Shavuos maimer, but let me just show you. So they published a kuntris in honor of Yud Aleph Nisan, Tafshin Chav Beis. Right? This box identifies the beginning, right? The beginning of the year. And the first maimer, you see, is Achrei.
Yeah. I counting. So the same when Rebbe was born, the same year? Rebbe was born 1902?
No, it's not the same year. This predates by 14 years. Okay, so in honor of Yud Aleph Nisan, they published a booklet with that Hemshech. Hemshech Achrei.
We're not doing what we did on Shabbos.
We are.
Oh, we are. Oh.
Now this Hemshech Achrei.
We'll get on with it.
Mem Tes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have 3 questions.
The Hemshech of Achrei Mem Tes. We may have to finish Shabbos morning. We're not in a rush. We're enjoying the Chassidus, like the Rebbe taught us.
Let's not rush.
The Rebbe discussed multiple times that today we have so much Chassidus, but the fact that something was just published gives a new energy, a new chayas, and we see that the Rebbe himself was koching. Also further in the maimer, the Rebbe brings from a maimer of the Alter Rebbe that was also published that year in Kislev of that year. So the Rebbe is koching zich, and this Hemshech Achrei, the Rebbe spoke about it over that summer a few times. The Rebbe went back to and referred to this Hemshech. The Hemshech of Mem Tes is known that the masculine, the people that came to Lubavitch, when they heard this maimer from the Rebbe Rashab, they were amazed by him. They had this fantastic appreciation. And the core of the theme is Toihu and Tikkun. Like we discussed, and the Rebbe here will also come back to this point of Toihu and Tikkun in a very large, systemic, methodic approach, step by step, an interesting dimension which we'll talk about soon. So that's the first thing. Yeah, Shabbos we started, and we had many fantastic questions, so let's jump right in. I know I wanted to say something else, but everyone's eager. So we say, we bring a pasuk in davening when we take out the Sefer Torah that when Moshiach comes, what will be in the future? Vero, they'll see, venigloh kevod Hashem. The glory of Hashem will be revealed. V'ro kol basar yachtav kipi Hashem diber. All flesh will see kipi Hashem diber. Mevayir azad morazakim b'likutei Torah. And Alter Rebbe explains what is the meaning of pi havaya. What will we see? Pi havaya diber. Hu hadibra elyon. Which dibur is it? She'al yodin is havul kol hanivraim. There's also aseres hadibris. What we're going to see here, that we're going to see the words with which the creation came about. Moshiach, Yizgale, will be revealed. What is the world? In other words, right now there's an obstruction. There's something that doesn't allow us to see the truth. You know, we study science and we say, oh, really, when you look at the reality, it's not what you see. Really, it's electrons, protons, neurons. There's a lot going on that we don't see. So right now, it's all actually Dvar Hashem. What happens? There's an obstruction. What is the obstruction? Shem Elikim. Shem Elikim is the mugging, it's the shield that doesn't allow us to see the truth. If we would see it, we wouldn't be able to live our comfortable lives the way we do. So when Moshiach will come and the veil will be removed, so it'll be revealed. And the Rebbe asks, why does the pasuk say, "V'ro kol basar," all flesh will see? What the pasuk should have said was, even the flesh will see. Today, our minds see. We could understand. When Moshiach comes, we won't only understand, we will even experience in the flesh. And that's the way it should have been phrased. Afilu kol basar. Kivan shagili zehu asav ruchni, is being that this is a spiritual understanding. It's not only spiritual, it's asaga elikis. It's divine. It really is in the domain of the godly soul. V'gam, it could also be associated, it has this, remember what we discussed, we had a discussion some time ago, that of how do we define ruchnius? What is ruchnius? Remember? This is a test. The discussion was that there's a basic understanding of what spirituality is, and then there's a chassidic understanding. The basic understanding is anything that we cannot grasp with our five senses is spiritual. Every non-tangible, a feeling, is spiritual. An idea is spiritual.
Easy to mix up this intellectual and emotional in this case. Spiritual, different dimension. Something exhausted to Hashem.
Spirituality is Hashem HaKodel. The Yetzer Hara is also spiritual. You can't see him, you can't touch him, so it's spiritual. Right? What is spirituality? It's not in the five senses. That's the famous joke that they say, God doesn't exist because I can't see him. He says, I don't see my professor's brains either. He must not have them. Right? So then there's the Hasidic. We discussed this once, that there's a sikha where the Rebbe explains that really a ruchni is more than that. Mm-hmm. A ruchni is something that is always in a state of reaching for higher. It's in a state of ascent, a rotzui. So it wants to reach a higher plane. So the nefesh alikis is a spiritual ruchni. The nefesh abamis is a plain ruchni. Akopanim ella. So really it belongs to the domain of the nefesh alikis, also to the nefesh abamis, and even to the body. Ella shasadazuta vegam b'haguf. In kain havel maimer. It should have said in the pasuk, v'ra'u afilu kol basar. Hainu she'inyan zeh yemusad heitev b'nefesh alikis u'b'nefesh abamis, and they'll have such a good grasp ad kedei kach she'yemusad gam b'haguf. Why does the pasuk say v'ro kol basar? The way the pasuk is phrased, it seems that the primary one is it will be in the domain of the body. I want to mention also, we see in this maimer, someone showed this to me recently from the Rebbe's father. I don't think we spoke about it, and I don't remember where I saw it. The Rebbe's father writes to the Rebbe in a letter, I want you to know that every single word of Talmud is Hashem. Even the choice of words. He says, even when you learn a Gemara, and the Gemara presents a problem, and then the Gemara says, this is a silliness, badusahi. It's like, go put it out.
Still.
The Eibishter, the
Badusa, which means it's a joke or it's outside.
right, Barusa, yeah, right, good, Shkoyach. Right?
Thank you, Alex Heppenheimer.
So either one, it's the Eibishter, right? So when we see the way the Rebbe studies the psukim, and we'll see later also, mamish in other words, respecting every word of Torah, mamish as pnimius rotzon elyon. This is mamish Hashem. Yeah. V'yuvan, v'haktiv. I'm sorry, I know we spoke about this Shabbos and you know it already, but
Oh no,
the words.
I don't remember,
The words are
to be honest.
fantastic. So Yuvan b'haktiv mashakosov b'ahemshech b'achrim is tofresh memtes. So take a look at her other four. Yatzal Ha'ori was published. We could do this b'fnei atzmei as a booklet. This hemshech was published, not a whole book. Yud Aleph Nisan Shana Zu.
Oh,
Right before Pesach, Hav Shin Chavez, it was published. The Nitva, and then later it was printed in the Sefer.
wow.
So there's a maimer there, the second maimer.
That means Taf Reish Mem Tes was not published in 1962.
Right, it was published later. And this is also something to remember that when I was a child, the whole Likutei Sichos would fit, the whole Kehos would fit on one shelf.
Oh, really?
All the Ma'amorim, the Alter Rebbe, the Mittler Rebbe, the Tzemach, nothing was published.
Wow.
Nothing was published. The
What
Rebbe,
did people learn?
The Rebbe, Pashet, there was Likutei Torah.
Yeah, right.
Right?
That's a lot.
Likutei Torah. Then you had Derech Mitzvah Secho, of course, Tanya. And then there was Imrei Bina, and some of the Sforim of the Mittler Rebbe, not the Ma'amorim, the series, just the individual Sforim, the Pirush HaMilas, the Imrei Bina, the Yuri Azoyar, those few volumes.
No, there is Chaim.
Right, the Rechaim, Sharei Oiro, Ner Mitzvah, Sharei Yichud, yeah, those were printed, and then people had kopirte, people had typed, copied. It wasn't printed, it wasn't published. The Ma'amorim of the Frierdiker Rebbe, people had, because it was all from that, Ma'amorim Kuntresim, literally just a few volumes. When I was a bacher already, they published the Ma'amorim of the Mittler Rebbe. The Alter Rebbe, I don't remember. The Tzemach Tzedek, I was like, when my father was in Kollel, they were printing the... So the Rebbe, through his Nesias, while everything else was happening, we forget to mention, he also led the publication of the entire Chassidus.
Wow.
I don't know how many volumes. Hundreds of volumes. Unbelievable. So even the Ma'amorim of the Rebbe Rashab were unpublished. People had...
What was published from the Rebbe Rashab first? Like Samach Vav? No, that was later.
Later, and base also.
And base was much later.
People need to give $1 or something.
Right, that was one, that was a special project. But people had there used to be these machines with a circle that it spins and it makes copies.
Yeah, ditto machine.
Yeah, you remember that? That you poured like a liquid into it, a solution.
And it smelled funny.
Right. So people would type the mamorim on these stencils.
Yeah.
And then they would run them through the machines.
Oh, wow.
So it's typed. It's Hamish Hagai. A bacher stayed up at night and then...
Typed or typeset? Oh, yeah.
No, he would type it in, he would put the sheets from the ditto machine into the typewriter.
Right. Oh my God, yeah.
And they would...
That's not right.
That's how they would do it. That's why some people, they have a green sheets, because if you remember, they had different colors. Anyway, whatever it is. So, they use the stencils. Yeah. Yeah. It got more complicated, but we'll stick with that.
So there's almost no sefer from the Rebbe Rashab when you were a child.
They had good
Just basic.
They had the Kontresim. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, in Yeshiva, they learned Samach Vov. Samach Vov was printed earlier, but not the other Mamar. And here you see, Tavshin Chav Beis, they printed a booklet with... So the Rebbe was putting out slowly. So there's a maimer there, the second maimer. Kei Amar Hashem, Beiri Hashamayim, Yetzer Ha'aretz V'Isa, Loi Toyu Bra, Lasheves Yitzara, Ani Hashem V'Emed. So it's a very, very famous pasuk, the ending of the pasuk, that Hashem did not create the world for the world to be empty. This is the second version of the mitzvah of Pru'urvu. Tosfos says that Goyim are also obligated to have children. Goyim, servants, based on what? Not on Pru'urvu, but based on this Loi Tohu Bra. This also plays in, now I'm not speaking from in other words, I'm not 100% sure, it's not Torah Missinai, but it could be that, in other words, once a person has a son and a daughter, they fulfill the mitzvah of Pru'urvu. But mitzvah, the mitzvah of Loi Tohu Bra, a person should continue to have more children. There's this concept. So it's a very important pasuk. Lasheves Yitzara, we have to... And the Rebbe Rashab Mevayer Pirush HaPasuk, he explains the pasuk. Now notice that now there's a bracket. Why? Because the questions that the Rebbe brings here are not in the original maimer. The Rebbe is saying that the Rebbe Rashab is addressing a whole packet of questions that he doesn't say them, he just goes into the view. So he says, there seems to be something problematic in the pasuk. Ein moving. Why does it say Yotzer Ha'aretz? Why the one who forms the earth, not who made Asiyah? Why does it say Lasheves Yitzara? He formed the world for it to be inhabited. Why the Lashon formed? Formation is premature. It's not a fully developed world. Harei Gemar B'rias Ha'aretz, the completion of creation, is Loi Rak Ba'ifin Shal Yetzira, Gam Ba'ifin Shal Asiyah. So V'im Kein Lama Imer Yetzer Ha'aretz. V'rak Meisef Ha'masayim V'Eisa, why does he later just add the word Eisa? Why does he say Lasheves Yitzara, Lashon Yetzira Dafke, V'loi Eisa Ha'aretz, Lasheves Asa'a, he made it in order for it to be inhabited. What does the pasuk end by saying, I am Hashem and there's nothing else? So all these questions that the Rebbe expresses are not in the maimer, but that's what the Rebbe Rashab is addressing. So what does he say there in the maimer? The main purpose of creation is to settle the world. Who's going to settle in the world? Not we. Ani Avaya, the Eibishter. That's the meaning. This means that that the level of Ani Avaya, meaning the level of godliness, in which there's nothing else other than God, should be be'efen shel his yashvus, should be in this world in a settled way, without causing overload, without causing a shock to the system. It should be lasheves b'tachtoinim. Tachtoinim should absorb that their whole mitzias is godliness. And ein oi, there's nothing other than Hashem. How does this happen? The Indians are maskil. This begins al yidei kishur ha'oiros bekelim, by tying, by connecting the oiros and the kelim. I just want to say that in Chassidus we learn that oiros and kelim have a have a different source. In other words, parents raise children. It's very nice. We say, "Oh, it's a household." What creates a household? It takes so much to raise children. Single parent, you can't do it, right? It's so hard for kids to be. But at the same time, men and women are completely different. In other words, what we're bringing, the husband brings, right? And the woman brings something. They're different energies, and both energies form the home. It's just a different dynamic. So, let's just say that for the fatherly figure is authoritative. Why do you do this? Because it's right. The father doesn't even have to say that. Just having a father present reorients the child. Why am I doing this? Because it's the right thing. The mother nurtures and educates and now, similarly, when we talk about creation of the world, yes, it takes Eiris and Kalim. But Eiris and Kalim, right, they're completely two different energies. And they're two different energies because they come from different places. Eir has its own shoydish. Kalim have its own shoydish. You see, Chesed and Gvura, the energy of Chesed and Gvura as the Eir of Chesed and Gvura, come from the same place. But Eiris and Kalim, the concept in Chassidus is that Eiris and Kalim have a completely different root.
Even in the source is a different.
Right, at the core, they're wired completely differently.
Different nature.
So now what? So how do we bring them together? Right, that we have to find a bond between. That's the avodah in this world, is to bring together Eiris and Kalim. She said, and that's the meaning of Yoitzer. Yoitzer does not mean formation. In this pasuk, It doesn't mean formation. In this pasuk, Yoitzer means to tie. It's a synonym for tying, for bonding. Yoitzer and Yetzara is miloshen asira ukshira. Comes from the lashon of binding. This is what the Rebbe Rashab brings in.
Can we square plate?
We have plenty, please. Hainu kshira sa'iris sheyisyashvu ba'kelim dafka. That the kelim, that the iris, should settle, should accept, should settle in the kelim. שהאירס וכלים מצד עצמם הם באיזה הפוך. שהאיר טבעי להסתלק למעלה. Air is in a state of withdrawal. Right? The man is, he goes into his man cave. He withdraws. V'hakli tiva b'yerida. The keli, he's a social bird. He gets up in the morning, you got to do something. Lahirid hashefa, l'hagbila, to limit, to do, to make. Lachein tzarich liyas kishur eiris b'kelim. That's why sins, they're opposites. You have to bring them together. By connecting the eiris and the kelim, by bringing this fusion, it works through all of creation to bring. In other words, we live in a fractured world. to unite, to bond, to bring harmony again and again, and so on and so forth. And for some people, their work in the world is to find divisive, like all the differences, all the how everything is different, and this doesn't work with that, and that doesn't work with this, and nothing fits. It's all a disaster. And the avodah of the world is to continuously find the connection, to continuously sew together Eidos and Kelim, and through that into all the entire world. And the one of the fascinating things of this maimer is that he highlights and he catalogs all these opposites, the guf and the nefesh, right? You know, the Eidos and the Kelim, the Adam and the Behemoth. In the creation, there's similar things to Eidos and Kelim. Sharei ba'adam yesh guf nefesh, u'benefesh gufa yesh nefesh u'elikis v'nefesh abahamis. We all are in a confused state. We're a paradox. A human being is a paradox. The ruach ha'adam, the spirit of man, is ambitious, is looking for purpose. And then there's Ruach HaBehemo who says, let me stay in bed. I'm not interested, give me another muffin. And that's it. They join together, they partner in life. It was interesting to me. The first maimer in Ayin Beis, he says, I think it's maybe it's not the first, whatever, in the beginning. He says that in other words, to me, what do you do with the nefesh habahamis? Iskafia! You got to break him, put a fence around him, control him, contain him. He says, I'm not saying that that's not the case. He says, what do you mean? We're Chabad. Your seichel, you have to get through.
Educate.
You have to get right, you have to educate, you have to get through. So what's going on here? That brings about the purpose. Yeah. Tachlis Abriya is to serve the Eibishter. The purpose of creation. And how can we serve the Eibishter? I think it's the means and it's the end. Meaning, when we join together the Eidos and the Kelim, then we're able to do Teirah mitzvahs. And to do Teirah mitzvahs sews together the Eidos and the Kelim. So it's a combination. The Pasuk tells us that the purpose of Hashem creating the world is Bishvil Adam, for the person. And Brias Adam is Bishvil Barasar Gematria Tayat, Shaydei Kiyuma Mitzvahs, Nasas Diddleis Baratat maimer, the Rebbe Rashab explains, Shekishur Beizad Dvarim, how do you join? How do you combine the Eidos and the Kelim, Beis Dvarim Hafachim? How do you bring them together? Mitzad Reichav HaKelim. What you do, you reduce the energy and you increase the vessels. By broadening the Kelim and reducing the oil, that's how you bring things to come together. Before I continue, I just want to share this with you again. This is, an Edelkeit, a chassidic Edelkeit. Oh, this is for you.
Sure.
Thank you. We're on the second page 369. So, I remember that we saw Friedman. Let's explain something. This is a chassidic concept. We know that teenagers, their emotions are raging. When the mind grows, it tempers, right? Temper with an E. It tempers the emotions. We become less crazy, right? Less radical, right? Calmer. We become calmer. So the way I understood it always is that it's, in other words, by utilizing your brain, by thinking, That's what tempers the emotions. So Rabbi Yisrael said one day, I don't know what the context was, he's like, no, it has nothing to do with the fact that you're learning. Just the mere fact that your brain grows,
It's affects.
that's it. Even you're not using your brain, you're not learning, you didn't think about this. It's just the capacity grew. The fact that the intellectual capacity grew, the midas will now,
You go crazy.
they'll be in check. So the roichav hakelim, having expanded intellectual ability, will temper.
How right you said this?
Commercial atinik. Yeah, it struck me when he said. A deep person. Commercial atinik. He says like a child, infant. He can't deal with. A little child, he can't deal with something against his will. That's why we also have to talk about parenting for a minute. For very little kids, distraction is a very important tool. When they fixate, they want this, they want that. Are you going to argue with them? There's no way. So it's right. You think quickly and distract them.
You know, hysteric attention.
And that's it. It's like magic, you know. So why is that? Because his brain is so small, he can't deal with. A person would say, "Wait a second, he's a child. What does he know? I can easily change his mind." No, it doesn't work that way. The little children are much more stubborn. They don't have room. Masha Enkin, Rabbi said, please eat, please. Masha Enkin, Hagadol, whereas an adult, Yachol Isbel, Kama Afachim B'nei Seyachol, he could, even in one, what are you doing this summer? There are pros, there are cons. Or either you love it or you hate it. No, I love it a little, I hate it a little. It's there's nice afachim, I understand. There are certain things about teaching that I love. There's certain things about teaching that I hate, and it's a whole. So b'nai se'achad in one Indian he had a person could be. Why did I have to give an example? The Rebbe gives an example. Lehiskay is to be angered by somebody who's bothering you. Haloisha meitzalei v'gam lasisim chesed, and to help them. And to be kind to them at the same time. Just like we find by the Eibishter, that the Eibishter judges someone. In other words, there's a person who doesn't deserve, and at the same time, he's giving him chesed. Where he's being judged, he's also being vindicated. His milas are also being seen. Yet the Rebbe Rashab asks a question about this. Remember, what are we trying to say? How do we unite opposites? The purpose of creation. How do we make a dir b'tachtonim? How do we bring Hashem into this world? By bringing harmony into the world. How could you bring harmony into the world? There's discord. There are people that I don't like. I'm going to repeat again what I said. It's hard for me to say it because it was such, when this guy in Florida killed 48 people, 49 people in a bar, in a gay bar. Remember that?
Yeah. With the machine gun on?
It's Arizona, yeah?
His name was Omer,
Wow.
and it was during Sfira. And he killed 49 people.
I didn't know that.
You don't remember that?
I remember the story, I don't remember the name.
That his name was
the account.
Yeah.
And he had cheesecake? That was too much.
Did he say
So Bibi made a statement. And I thought to myself, it's a gay bar. What is
In Florida.
in Florida? What is? And he said, the nation of Israel stands with the victims, tolerance and love, and this. And I'm thinking to myself, what are you talking about? And then he said something, and it blew my mind. He said, we understand that if there's someone in the world that you don't like and you don't tolerate, that means that you're justifying and allowing someone in the world not to like you, to write you off. If there's someone you don't accept, we know what it is. As Jews, we know what it means not to be accepted. We want to be accepted. We got to accept everyone. And that was an opportunity for a message. We talk about Dira B'Tachton.
The Omar was Jewish or not?
No, he was Muslim.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, because that was like...
Don't trust me on this. You'll go look it up. My phone is busy. We're on Facebook. But you look it up. Somewhere in Orlando, I don't know. Yeah, something.
Yeah, I remember.
I don't remember this big
I
number.
remember him being...
Big number.
It's a big number. Yeah. It's terrible.
Because I was biggest was in Nevada. The guy.
At the concert. Yeah. These are all things we lived through. It's not normal, you know. So that's the Dira B'Tachtonim, to bring harmony in the world. There's so much machlokes. I'm going to hold myself in. I'm not going to. There's no comments. There's no locker room talk. Let's stay focused. Yeah. So the Rebbe Hashem has a question. What happens when a person is really intelligent? He becomes patient. So, I tolerate something listen, I have my opinion, and you have your opinion. I'm Beis Shammai, you're Beis Hillel.
Maybe it's more spiritual person who tolerates.
Okay, in other words, bittul. Sheyuchal hakalilis bo beis hafochim. But it's not united. You're not uniting. Aval adayin tzorech oven ech yisachtu v'yiskashru beis hafochim yachdav. How could two opposites unite? Umevar. The Rebbe Rashab explains, Api maimer Arav Hamagid, Pirush Drashas Chazal, and Apostle Ezer Shalom B'Mreimov, that in heaven there's Michol Sar Shel Sheled and Gabriel Sar Shel Eish Ve'edim Achavim Zeh. Why? Shezel Mitzad Gili Er Shel Amayla Mishneim. Because Hashem is greater than both. So Al Derech Moshel Beis Sorim Amenagdim Zelazeh. Shekasharim Dim Lifnei HaMelech, when they stand in front of the king, Misbatlim Im Tziyusom, Umeredabrim Yachad B'Inyan Echad, K'may Shaloi Hoyim Menagdim Lo'ilam, as if their bodies bipartisan. Unbelievable. Al Derech Zeh Yivan Gapkim Binyan Oiris V'Kelim. What brings together the Oiris and Kelim? Imei Yesem Afochim Zeh Mizeh. But Kashemeir Oishel Amayla Mishneim, when they have this greater purpose, as I misbatlim in mitziyusam or miskashim yacham, they become humble and they partner. It says, now comes the Rebbe. The Rebbe says, I'm sorry, this is insufficient. What does this great light achieve? But there's still opposites. Right? Let's say, I'm sorry to give such an example. Two chassidim who have a completely different worldview, or a chassid and a litva, are put together on a project. Both of them don't have parnasa, they're desperate. So they're in Isvapol because they need a job. Okay, so they're in Isvapol. But if someone comes back and says, look, you do your thing, and work together. Are you kidding me? It's impossible. We have this guy's waking up in the morning to learn the daf, and the other guy's waking up in the morning to learn
Collaboration.
How could it be yifalu? They should be active. They should be themselves. And v'lo yirak v'lo yinagnu. How could canal shekishu the iris v'kelim hu atcholish ha'idei in the shlam sakavad. How could you bring about the Rebbe Tachtonim? The next question, Gimel. I know we already learned is a brilliant question. It's a fascinating question. Maybe when we finish this paragraph, I'll share the answer. So that those of you who heard the maimer Shabbos, the Yuvans that may in Akisha, the Gufa never she Allah so lovely. When Moshiach comes, the body and the soul will be joined. This, by the way, is the source for the appreciation of Chassidus for the body. Right? In other words, going back all the way to the earth, like to the Greek, to the time of the Greeks, where there were people who were embarrassed to eat in front of other people, or to go to going to the bathroom. In other words, all bodily functions were seen as a source of shame. In other words, who am I? I'm a mind. Like imagine someone who was so brilliant. You had all these extremes.
Well, we have it in Allah that a person shouldn't go to the mikveh with his Rebbe.
Right. I'm talking about.
How you want to do this?
You had this idea of very wise people that wouldn't shower, and they would, in other words, to groom the body. We're men of intellect. We're not.
It was only these people who
Shedding
live
a
in
whole
the
new
bottom.
light on some of our shul members.
No. Like Kinniks who lived in the barrel.
Who lived in the barrel.
Yeah, you remember Alexander Grey came and said what I can do for you, just move from the sun. And
Right.
And he saw a person breaks the cup and said he now using hand to eat. So minimalism.
Right.
But
This type of extreme.
It was extreme and it's not normal. I mean, like it's.
Right.
I mean, it's a monks. The shaman monks.
So,
It's philosophy school.
in other words, to understand that we have really been introduced through the preparation of the time of Moshiach. We've been introduced to a whole new appreciation for the physical. Right? The schar, eila matchia. The guf is what performs the mitzvahs. That's really, and loss of love, the guf and nefesh will have complete harmony. A few lines. The Mishnah says, Kol Yisrael yesh lehem chelik le'olam haba. The Lashon hazeh islu chulka ba'alma da'asi v'kol yal tchias ha'mesim. Let's skip the bracket. She'oz, when Moshiach comes, yeh haschar v'neshamas begufim dafka. Tzaddik Lov in Dover said a fascinating thing over here. The word chelik means a quarter.
Right.
Tzaddik Lov in Eimrei Kol Yisrael yesh lehem chelik le'olam haba.
Why is it
Chelik daike.
Why not 50-50?
Chelik hu roiva. He brings here from Eira Torah, he brings a source where this is mentioned. And he brings a Gemara. Kedisa the Gemara, from Baba Basra. One who declares, Ploini yikol chelik b'nechosai, you give him 25%. This person receives 25% of my wealth, of my estate. The person gets 25%.
For what?
So,
For what exactly?
The word chelik.
if someone states, please give this and this person a chelik of my, how much do you give them? 25%. So we see that the word chelik means, a part means 25%.
But wouldn't someone be more specific?
Well, the Gemara talks about all kinds of scenarios, especially like extreme.
Estates or the...
He said it, then he died.
An estate?
I don't know.
An estate basically means you take the whole Yerusha,
I'm still waiting.
you put it into
for
Pat.
someone.
And that's the estate of the person who passed away. So,
It's too generous, 25.
This
This is this case.
the Tzaddik Kohanim, the Rebbe asks, what's this idea that in Elam Haba, a Yid is only going to get a quarter? What does this mean, that a Yid is only going to get a quarter?
Yeah.
Why is that? Now, in the answer of the maimer, the Rebbe explains that Elam Haba is the revelation of Shem Havaya, like we had in the first pasuk, of the pure godliness. What is the resurrection? What is Elam Atchiyah as opposed to Gan Eden? Gan Eden is a reward for studying Torah. Elam Atchiyah is a reward for performing mitzvahs. That's why Kol Yisrael yesh lam chelek le'elam haba, because every Yid has mitzvahs. Afilu Paishi Yisrael v'lei mitzvahs karishim. And the mitzvahs are performed with the body. So that reward is, being that it's performed with the body, it's one letter of Hashem's name that's revealed in Elam Atchiyah.
It's the hay?
And that's why it says that it's the Havaya de La'ela. He's going to speak about the two Shemis Havaya. Havaya de La'ela, that's why Kol Yisrael Shem Chelek Haba is a Chelek, is a Roiva, as a quote. Okay, we're going to conclude here. Thank you so